And it's showtime, everybody. My name is Kevin J Johnston. Welcome to Amazing Dating Advice. You'll always catch us live on freedomreport.ca every single Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We have the lovely Melanie Switzer joining us for the entire show tonight. This time, that naughty girl from last week who let her mailbox fill up and couldn't get my emails, well, she did the right thing. But Melanie is going to start the show off tonight because we had discussed briefly before the show began that she had a long think about what we closed the show off with last time. And, I'm a man, so I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. I don't remember what I said yesterday, and I have no clue what anyone told me on Monday of last week. So what was she saying? I tell you what, she reminded me half an hour ago. I'm a man. I forgot again. Here's Melanie Switzer, everybody. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Things are wonderful. So remind me for the second time in the same hour, what was the question that you pondered for a week? Go ahead.
Well, this might be why you're single, Kevin. I don't know. Okay, well, the question from last week that someone wrote in was, why do women ask leading questions?
Oh,
yeah. And you actually gave some good examples. I think one of them was for example, a woman might say, if you had the opportunity, which one of my friends would you sleep with?
But they'll ask it like this: which one of my friends would you sleep with if you had the chance? And then like the eyes are all over, that kind of nonsense. It's lose-lose. I figure as a man, like the only way to answer that question is just to leave the room. Say nothing, leave the room, close the door, put on the PlayStation. There's no answer to that. Where you don't get yelled at. So yes.
I wasn't really prepared to answer it last time because it wasn't something I'd given a lot of thought to, but I pondered it after the show. And then Friday, I kind of had this aha moment where I thought back to a personal example in my life where I did ask one of those questions, and it actually changed the trajectory of my marriage of 12 and a half years.
Really?
So,
whoa. Wait. One question changed the trajectory of a 12 and a half year relationship?
It did. And I'll explain why.
Before you do, this sounds amazing. Maybe we should try and sell somebody something. Before you say this. This sounds like it's going to be awesome. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll start out by saying some women ask ridiculous questions, and we need to stop that. I think you're probably not going to be happy with any answer to that. You probably just shouldn't ask the question. And there are women that do that and go too far and ask these ridiculous questions far too often. So my advice to those women is just stop. However, there are some women that ask these questions, and the reason they ask them is because sometimes we require a little bit of validation or affirmation or measurement of the commitment, and we just want to make sure we're equally yoked. That's basically the gist of it. A lot of times, some of the questions, okay, yeah, they're a little corny. I'll tell you the question that I asked years ago, and at the time I was in about 12 and a half year marriage, and we weren't married that long when this question came up. And what happened was his uncle was in a bad accident, and by some miracle survived it, but ended up tetraplegic, which is paralyzed from the chest down, basically. And so their life changed. Their entire lifestyle changed from that moment on. He's going to be in a wheelchair. He's going to have a catheter in. He's going to have physical limitations. There'll be, all kinds of adjustments in that marriage, but she was fully committed to staying the course and loving him through it no matter what. And that touched me. And I thought, that's the kind of marriage I want. That's the kind of marriage I hope I have. So like a fool, we're driving. So we're driving down a highway, and I know it happened on a highway, and I think it was the same highway, which is why it popped into my mind. And so like a fool, I asked him, hey, I was really super impressed with how your aunt handled everything, and that she's, for better, for worse, blah, blah, blah. I said, if that happened to me, would you do the same thing? And I have to tell you at this point in the story that when we as women ask those questions, keep in mind, guys, that it could potentially be a very serious question. So don't just brush it off and get annoyed all the time, because sometimes your woman just needs to know that you care and that you're going to be there. The other thing I want to point out is that um, that we already have an answer prepared in our minds to these questions. Okay, so if your answer isn't close to the answer that we want to hear, it's the wrong answer. So it is kind of a trap. It's kind of tricky, but it's also pretty serious because his response to that question, right? His
Continue.
response, his response when I asked him that was he just kind of looked at me and he's like, I don't know, in that tone. He's like, I don't know. He's like, why would you even ask me that? And I'll tell you why there was a pivot for me at that moment, because if he'd asked me that question at that moment, because we were fairly, I think we were only married 3 years, my answer would have absolutely been, yes, of course. You're my husband and I love you. That's what I would have said. And I was expecting to hear something similar. And when I didn't, I had a realization at that moment that I was probably in a marriage where the person I was married to did not love me as much as I loved them. So that could be a serious moment in a relationship. So I just wanted to make the guys aware of that, and just to think before you answer some of those questions.
Wow. So we have to read minds as men.
It would be
Uh,
helpful.
on
Yeah,
top
yeah.
of being the ones to throw ourselves down on top of you if you're being shot at and so on. We have to, yes. Well, okay. I get your point. And I'm not going to invalidate anything you've just said because we're here to have a wider understanding of everything. But from the male perspective, that's a huh? Right. And if you find yourself getting that kind of an answer, ladies, huh? Usually it's disbelief at the question itself, the tone of the question, the timing of the question. I mean, how
Mm.
often have we as men heard really stupid crap like, hold on, I can't even do the, you never take me to dinner anymore. Yeah, that was said to me once. I'm in the car, I'm driving along, and it's like my back gets up because no, it was 2 days ago. Then it was the previous Friday, then the previous Monday, and then 2 days in a row the previous week to that. You've had 6 meals out in restaurant. You know what? No, you know what? We're done having dinner out. How's that sound? Like that, boom. What the hell would possess someone to say that? Now, it was explained to me by somebody in their 60s to myself in my late 20s. This happened in my early 20s. So I got this information about 7 years later that what she was trying to say is that she felt lonely. There was just something missing and she wanted more of my time and more of my attention. Of course, the correct way to say that is, I'm feeling a little lonely. I'd like some more of your attention. Can we pull over for ice cream and sit alone and look at the stars for 2 or 3 hours? Like that makes more sense, right? But the accusation of me not taking her to dinner after blowing almost $400 on dinners, yeah, I got my back way up. So timing of questions like that, ladies, maybe you should judge that a bit better.
And choose
Okay.
our questions wisely, because sometimes we should probably, yeah, should word it different, communicate better, or just not ask it at all.
Yes. Now, Jason's saying something here. You didn't bring the same to the table. Sorry. You didn't bring the same as him to the table. Okay, that might go in reverse. If Melanie
Mm.
was willing to do that, take care of her man after a severe accident for the rest of her life, she was asking if the guy would do that for her. Now, maybe the timing was bad. Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe his mind was on some bad investment he made or some good investment he was about to make. Maybe his mother got in his nerves. You never know where his mind is at when a question like that comes out of the blue. So, ladies, I would suggest that you keep the stupid questions reserved for times with your girlfriends where you can all go, which one of my friends do I think that he'd like? But do that with chicks. Don't bring that to men. And then as for serious questions like what Melanie asked, better timing. That's my advice. Because
Well,
I've
depending
been
on the
through.
personality, I don't know if there is good timing. So I think some men just need to just be a little more aware. That's all.
Okay, it's a fair statement. And I'm glad I sought out the advice that I did. Like 7 years later, I got the advice that I was
Mhm.
looking for. Of course, at that particular time, I got a little bit annoyed further that, oh crap, I got to play games for the rest of my frigging adult life. Holy, like I thought I left high school behind. It's getting worse, not better. Oh, hold on. Ray's asking a very important question here. Is Mel single?
Oh. Well, at the moment, I'm pretty sure I'm not.
What?
I
What do you mean?
well, I'm kind of dating, but
Oh,
I
this is new from 7 days ago. So what's up?
well, well, you kind of make a connection and you sort of see somebody, and so I'd almost consider myself a little bit off the market right now.
A little bit off the mark, just a little though.
Well, well, I'm fairly off the market,
Okay,
but it's
okay. So if
yeah.
some dude, some good-looking dude shows up with, I don't know, this car here, like the one that I think you own, if he showed up with that, would you shift gears or shift sides?
I'm not impressed by cars, so probably not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the first
Takes
time I've
a
heard that. Really?
takes a
That's
lot
the
more
first
than
time
a
you're not
takes a
impressed by
lot
cars. You're not. You're the
no,
first woman to say that ever
takes a lot more than a
to me.
fancy car, for me, yeah.
Okay. Well, sure, I get that. I mean, if the guy shows up in a Porsche or a Lamborghini and he's picking his nose in his underwear and his mom is in the back seat knitting his socks, sure, that would be a turnoff. I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So, does that answer your question? What's your name? Sorry, what's your name? Jason. No, Ray. Does that answer your question? Slightly, only slightly off the market. Okay. Again, I'm a man. I don't know what that means, and I would just, I would just say congratulations.
I would say
All
I'm
right.
not accepting resumes at this time, so
You see, that's another euphemism. Let's just say I may not be on Mars at this particular point. It's euphemism. How about this? The guy saw me naked. Sorry, man, I'm out of the market. Get lost. Right? I think as soon as someone you're dating sees you naked, you're kind of off the market for a short period of time anyway.
I
Unless,
would say, yeah, I
yeah,
would say so.
okay. There we
Yeah.
go. So should I just get naked now and I'm off the market to every woman watching? Is that how it works?
Well, if you wanna take yourself off the market, but you might wanna keep yourself on there.
Very good. Okay, good advice. Good advice. See, guys, I just got some advice on my own show. All right, there is something that first off, everybody, if you have questions, all right, feel free to email us at the bottom there. Send your contact information over. Well, what we can do is I can call you if you want to give me your phone number. You can throw your question in the chat, like Ray just did. You can also email us, which is at the bottom there, freedomreport.ca at gmail.com. If you want to actually come into the show, be on camera, I'll send you the link to the email address. You can come on in with your face showing and ask your question there. All right. There is something. Oh, you broke someone's heart. Oh,
Oh,
and his middle name is Snookum, too. Look at that.
that's kinda cute.
Sorry, Ray. We don't always win. That's just how that is. All right. Uh, Ownership of relationships. I wanted to cover this a little bit more in depth last time, and we just didn't get to it.
Right.
There's a phenomenon out there where then this is usually on the women's side, where they get married, they do their rigmarole for the first couple of years, and then they get super comfortable, stop dressing up nice, stop putting on makeup, stop shaving the armpits, and stop sleeping with their men. And what they'll say is that he should just love me no matter what. But you're not doing anything. Right? That's a problem.
Mhm.
There's a lot of folks that think that they own the person that they're married to. That's not how it works, everybody. And the other thing would be that if you were out there and you were really selling yourself to get that wife, to get that husband, to get, I don't know if you're polyamorous, that three wives, whatever you might be, and then you settle down, become boring, stop touching them, stop hugging them, stop sleeping with them, and you still feel that they should just stay because you say so, that's it's a horrendous way to think. Now, let's get the woman's take on that. Melanie, you're up.
I will admit that, yes, women do that, but I am also I'll also be completely honest. In my marriage, I wasn't the only one that did that. So I think that both the man and the woman have to be aware of that, and we need to continue. That's why they say it takes work, and it takes work on both parts. You got to continue to take care of yourself, continue to court, continue to date, and that goes both ways. I mean, I'm here as I'm a testimony to failed relationships, because I can tell you that that wasn't being done, and clearly that, it wasn't going to sustain the marriage unless both people are going to be doing that. So
Yeah, well, that's fair. Um, with men, typically the sex will stop on the man's side if he's no longer attracted to you. So I know, ladies, you always get upset when I say fat, but I don't know why. Don't get fat. And when I say don't get fat, that also means don't get slovenly, don't get lazy, don't get foolish, don't get immature, don't sit around doing nothing, don't stop doing the things that he loved about you in the first place. That's what I mean when I say don't get fat. It is a euphemism that's all encompassing to all the things you should not do if you want to keep a guy around. And yeah, um, there have been times I was in relationships where she annoyed the crap out of me, or perhaps I just let them annoy the crap out of me, and I'd spend my time doing various other things other than being around and being intimate or whatever else it might be. Now, as men and ladies, this is where the male brain is. He will focus like this, like tunnel vision on you, unless you've irritated him or pissed him off in some way, in which case the tunnel vision goes to omnivision. It's everywhere. And he'll grab the first thing that comes up that has high entertainment value. So you're competing with, why don't we cover it? The National Hockey League, the National Football League, the National Basketball Association, the Canadian Football League, the Premier Soccer League of Europe, international rugby, international boxing. Then you've got Netflix and Hulu and Crave and all that stuff. Plus, on top of that, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to how good the graphics are and how good the games are on PlayStation 5, but he can immerse himself in a 200-hour video game if he wants, make a phone call with his buddies, boom, pool hall, boom, and rental ice. Let's go play some hockey. There are so many things a man will occupy his mind with to stay away from the pain of his relationship not being that great at that particular moment. And of course, what are we called for doing that? And assholes. And the other one would be you're a coward because you don't want to talk about it. Well, what's there to talk about? Like the answer is no, this is not going to be a good night. So I'm going to split and I guess let you figure it out, because we can't take it. A crying woman or a complaining woman or a screaming woman or a woman pulling her hair out like this, that's kryptonite to us, man. Like we got to go. So any advice for women and men, Melanie, on how to deal with that? Because the average male can't deal with it. Go ahead.
well, I think the average male needs to suck it up and deal with it some of the time, because women need to also feel safe being vulnerable around you. And if you actually truly love her, you'll let that happen sometimes. If it's all the time, okay, yeah, that's draining, and I can understand why you'd want some time away. But occasionally, you need to let her have a meltdown, and you need to be there for her, because women are emotional beings, and a lot of times women are pulled in so many directions emotionally, if they're moms or with jobs, because a lot of women are empaths, and so our tanks get drained fairly easily sometimes. So yeah, guys, smarten up a little bit, and women, I guess, ladies, yeah, we need to chill out a little bit. And I think I don't know, maybe just because I'm older and I've been through failed relationships, and I guess becoming an expert on what doesn't work in some ways, we need to be aware of what our partners need, and you can tell, you can feel the energy, ladies, honestly. And when you start to feel that shift, make an adjustment in your own sale, because it'll just be better.
Not bad. Not bad advice at all. Oh, by the way, this is not a dating service. For those who've been sending me really weird messages, I've got some ladies here on my Facebook pages, plural, telling me no, thank you, I'm not looking. Like, first off, I'm not proposing, and it's a show, It's not a dating service. This is not one of those 5-minute conversation speed dating rounds, right? Because yeah, I'm believe me, I've done speed dating, guys. It's a nuisance. It's an here's what you got to do for speed dating. It's a waste of time. How are you going to get to know somebody in 5 minutes? It's either like for men, it's face, boobs, waist, butt. Yeah, that's it. So the idea of judging a woman by her personality as men, it's not going to happen. Then this speed dating thing was supposed to be more for men to be able to connect with women on some emotional level. But in that speed dating game, most men, especially the ones I interviewed afterwards, most men had nothing but a sense of irritation at the end of speed dating rounds because you talk and it's the same questions over and over again, and then you get someone in front of you that you're not attracted to, and as men, it's like, has it only been 30 seconds? Oh my God, 45 seconds. No, 4 minutes to go. It's painful. So, and you're not allowed to say that one, yes, no, yes. You can't do that. You have to make the rounds. So the speed dating thing is something that just does not work because it's really easy as a man to get irritated by a woman who is, by her nature, not compatible with him. Now, I'm not saying she's irritating. They're not compatible. He will get irritated. So speed dating is not something guys like. Now, we talked about this before here in Alberta, is that a lot of these speed dating and these meetup.com events where it's supposed to be singles mingles, it's mostly women that show up. The guys aren't going anymore. They're just not going. Also, a lot of these meetups that I joined up just to see what would happen, they're all being canceled. The groups are disappearing very quickly because the women are saying, why aren't the men coming? And I'm probably sure they're blaming the men for it, but I'll tell you why men aren't going, but I got to get the female take first. You're up.
On why these aren't successful?
On why men aren't showing up for them.
Yeah, I'm puzzled by that because I would think that men might take that as an opportunity. I mean, you're there, and I would call that a target-rich environment. So I don't know why they're not showing up, unless they're just completely content being at home, entertained by their devices or their Netflix or their video games, and it's too much work to put into the dating.
What you just said is part of it. Yes, as I mentioned here, the graphical capabilities on video games are unbelievable, and video games have always impressed men since the day they came out. I think it was Stellar War was the first video game ever. That was 1968. And guys have just been glued to them ever since. The advantage for women in the 70s is that the Atari 2600 was available, but it sucked. So the games would hold your attention for 10 minutes, and then it's like, yeah, right, let's light a joint and get busy here. Now the video games are incredible. They're better than movies and TV shows. So the guys are not asking the chick, let's light a joint and get busy. It's he lights a joint and tells her to leave the room because the stuff is that good. So yeah, that's number one. But the other part of it is the complexity of dealing with and I want to get your comments right after I'm done here, but the complexity of narcissism run amok in our society. Most women out there now, they all think that they're hot 7, 8, 9s, and 10s. And on top of that, they're all starting sentences off like, I won't settle for a man unless he, and then it's stupid stuff. 6'2", 500 grand a year, big house, car, parents are dead, so I don't have to go to Thanksgiving dinner. They have these lists that are incredibly unrealistic. And as guys, we're just like, okay, that's not me. No, and we don't care anymore. There was a day that we did, and now we don't. And the best example of that I can ever give you is at the speed dating round. There was the one chick, I had salute her for her honesty. It's the first time a woman was that direct. She says, do you have an 8-inch penis? I said, absolutely not. Thank you for the 30 seconds. I'm not going to get my back up. It's what she wants. She has standards, right? I'm not 8 inches. So, good for her. But that's a realistic expectation. The rest of it that I just mentioned is not. And the guys are not afraid of women that way. They're just tired of it. It's a battle that we can't win. Now, there is this other statement out there of, I'm a strong, independent woman. Well, what the hell does that mean? Women who say that tend to not be strong and tend to not be independent. They just tend to be really bitchy and Moni. I know strong, independent women. You're one of them. The reason you and I get along is because you are that. And you've never once said something stupid to me like, I'm a strong, independent woman. Yeah, you've never done that crap. And that's the difference. So, men can see through that I'm strong, independent nonsense, and they're not showing up to listen to it, because as soon as that's the introduction, we're done. We really are done. There's enough dating advice out there, like really good dating advice for men, that we now know what to walk away from, what the red flags are. But please, you're up. Let's hear your take.
Oh boy. My take on, that was a lot. You unpacked a lot there. I feel like, okay, where do you want me to start? Because it was kind of a couple of parts to this question.
Well, let's just go straight to the strong, independent woman thing, because I made a video about that on Instagram, and a lot of ladies got pissed at me because they all assumed I was talking about all of them, and I'm not. It was a societal judgment as opposed to a judgment on all women.
Okay.
So let's deal with that part there. They say they're strong, independent, but they're not. They're bitchy. I got to get your take on this.
Okay. Yeah, I would think if they're easily offended, then there's a reason for that. There's always a reason someone's offended when you call them out on something. And I feel like the people that are, I mean, you look at it from a business perspective, that the people that are owning successful businesses are often not bragging about those businesses. They're usually quite humble, and they're usually ones that are charitable and involved in the community and all of that. So I think the same thing goes for the women. Yeah, you probably tend to think that the ones that are announcing that obviously have some insecurities, and their announcement of them being strong and independent is sort of a smokescreen hiding all the insecurities and the blemishes that they don't want you to see. And I'm sure men and women both do that.
There's a good comment right there. Saying and being are two different things. Absolutely, they are.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, the other one, and I'm not popular for this opinion either. This is an observation, folks, based on the fact that I've dated a few. Okay, let's just leave it at that. And that is, there's something to be said for highly intelligent women. Like, we're talking IQs over 125 to 130. That's awesome, because there's plenty to talk about on just about every subject matter. I would not be bored ever with a woman with that level of intelligence. But what I have noticed in women is if they have that level of intelligence, that's all they have. There tends to be less personality with that because they're so proud of their intelligence, but there also tends to be a high degree of cowardice that goes along with that, because what they're doing is they are utilizing this intelligence they have to overthink every single thing that could possibly go wrong, and they focus on that. So they're not people, or not women in general, that I could count on, because they're always going to be analyzing everything I'm saying to absolutely no end. And then I also noticed that the women who have the lowest intelligence, we're talking down around 82, 84, somewhere in that range, they tend to be the really brave ones. They're the ones that'll lip off and give their opinions when it's not wanted. And they're the ones that tend to have your back a bit more. I would love to hear the psychological paperwork on this, but do you have any idea why this is true, at least from my perspective?
I don't know why it's true, but I have noticed it. And actually, I do agree with you that it seems like the more intellectual a person is, the less substance their personality has overall. I have noticed that. And that goes for both men and women.
Well, then I guess you and I are the rare exceptions here, because my IQ is close to 130, and I just don't give a crap how the whole thing turns out. 7 months of prison time this government's put me away for, just for smiling and talking about politics. I'm still smiling, talking about politics, and I'm enjoying myself. So there can be that balance. I just don't think it's common, unfortunately. So here, I'll just do a quick plug. Hey, any ladies out there with an IQ of over 130, let me know. But be 36, 24, 36, please. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, we all have to have standards, right?
Doesn't hurt to try. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to try, but I'm saying, though, standards. So I want to get back now to this fat thing, if we could. I've been lied to so many times. Okay, I'm going to go back to being a younger man here, and like we're all the way through my 20s. The blind date thing, or the get together thing, where everybody wants to have a date night with like 5 or 6 people, or 5 or 6 couples dating, or at least talking, hopefully to date.
Mhm.
And I've been set up with a number of chicks, and I usually would ask the wrong question: Is she pretty? Oh yes. Oh, she's so pretty. And then she turns out, and she is my height, but 150 pounds heavier.
Mm.
All right, I'm 210. I'm 210 pounds, and with that comes a whole ton of muscle on my frame, and a size 34 pant. So imagine 150 pounds heavier, how big those pants would be, and how sizey she would be. And I've just got this thing, Mel, where I'm hugging my lady. I should be able to touch my elbows. That's it. That's the space you should occupy. So I get mad, saying, "You didn't tell me she was fat." Right? Oh, but I said she was pretty. I said, no, she's not at all. Why lie to me? Because now I'm leaving the room. I'm leaving the party. I'm too angry to be here. Like that's my hot-headed self in my 20s. So what is it with women who lie about how attractive their friends are when their friends are not attractive, or perhaps morbidly obese, or have really bad personal hygiene, or whatever it is that they do? Why do women lie about that?
Oh boy. Is it the whole maybe too close to the forest to see the trees, or just that they see their friends' potential perhaps, and not seeing them objectively as someone like you might see them. I think that's part of it. And I think they really ultimately just want the best for someone they care about. So they probably would tend to embellish, but stop it. Stop it. Don't just be honest. Yeah.
Yes, I would say she is a good partier. She's very clever. Her intelligence quotient's 109, but she weighs 318 pounds. And Kevin, you will not find her one bit attractive. You'll probably party with her nicely, though. You know, oh, and she's a really good chess player. You're like, okay, cool. Now I know. So I'm going to go to the party with zero expectations at all, and not be in any way upset or angry, or feel like I've been lied to or ripped off. And it's a horrendous thing to do. With men, when a woman asks, "Oh, is your single friend good looking?" And as guys, we'll say, "No, not really. No, he got hit in the face with a tire wrench 4 years ago, and the scar cuts right across his face. He kind of looks like a bulldog in heat, but super nice guy. He'll give you the shirt off his back. He'll take a bullet for you. There you go. If you're seen in public with him, nobody will mess with you because they will literally think that you're dating a dog. There you go. That's men. But come out anyway. Great guy. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth. And I just don't get how,
Yeah.
as men, we get it so correct when we are
Yeah.
describing the physical beauty. I'm not talking about the inner beauty. This has nothing to do with people, who they are, what they believe. The physical beauty of something, men are like just usually bang on with their capacity to describe it. And that includes cars, architecture, album covers. That includes everything. Men will tell you what is attractive and what is not. And if they don't like it, they'll tell you exactly why. With women, on the other hand, it's everything that she can't own is ugly, and all of her friends are beautiful no matter what. More, please tell me. What have I done wrong here, if anything, throughout my entire adult life?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You're not entirely wrong. I've seen too many women over embellish unnecessarily when it comes to talking up their friends, and it can lead to disappointment. We really should just be honest. But maybe I think maybe it's a perspective thing. Maybe some people do think, oh, she's gorgeous, and their idea of gorgeous might not match your idea of gorgeous.
Well, that's absolutely true. My son and I have this conversation. He's a great kid. I talk to him every single day. Even though he's in his early 20s, he's got very much a maturity level of late 20s. And he likes the more voluptuous type that are bigger. Well, I said, that's good. I don't criticize. That's his taste. So I said, that's good. You and I will never compete for them. Period. because I like them athletic and he doesn't. And that's cool. We all have a different taste.
That's true. Thank
could-
goodness. Yeah.
Yes, thank goodness. But could we maybe have a societal contract where we actually are so honest that we can say things like, yes, my friend has a pretty face and she's really good at stylizing her hair. Her hair is really thick. You'll like her hair. She weighs 246 pounds. Body fat percentage is 33. Her measurements are as follows. H cup breasts, like whatever. Could we not just tell that kind of truth? I mean, I'll come right out and tell you the truth about everything. People will ask, well, how big are you? Now, 46-inch chest, 45-inch belly area. So that means I got to lose some weight there. Yeah, and I'll give you the measurements of the arms and the forearms. I'll do all that. And if you really need to know, because we're men, we don't care about this kind of stuff. I will measure flaccid and I will measure erect and let you know the difference between the two, because that does matter to some women. And I totally get the fact that it does. And I am not one bit offended by women who want it bigger. Not one. That's their taste. And you know, that they also have their reasons for it. And I'm not even questioning it, unless they want to hang around and have a conversation over a beverage and tell me 15 reasons why. I'll listen because I'm a man. But there we go. All right. So we've beaten that one down to death. Got a couple of quick questions here. Melanie, another gentleman here would like to know if you're single. Go ahead and repeat your answer.
Well, I would consider myself not single at the moment, as of recent.
Fantastic. Okay, guys. So Melanie's not single, which means if anybody asks for Melanie's phone number in email, I'm going to delete it. I'm not even going to reply. Period. All right.
But thank you for asking. That's flattering.
Yeah. Oh, I guess, guys, if you're going to ask, why don't you send us over your bank statements and your measurements? All right. We just talked about that. Melanie, maybe you could answer this one here. How do you and Kevin know each other?
We met at a rally in Edmonton. You came up with Artur Pulowski and a bunch of people. That's the first time we met. And then, yeah, that's right. And then I rewrote my Christmas song called Make Christmas Great Again, and rewrote it to be Make Calgary Great Again. And I thought it would be great for you. And I got it to Derek, and Derek played it for you, and you loved it. And the rest is history.
Okay. Well, there we go. Yes. And the song was amazing. And thank you very much for that. I mean, there's nothing finer than hearing your name, my name, sung in a song by a gorgeous woman. Yeah. Yeah. It does a lot. It's actually quite empowering. All right. The Rumble room is filling up. Let me just go and check that right now if we could here. Rio Skiing says, when I hear strong woman, I usually think of that woman from South Park named Strong Woman. Okay. I remember that episode, but maybe not everyone knows that one.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. What do you think about Facebook dating? Kind of sucks because everybody on Facebook dating thinks that it's supposed to be the same rules as standard Facebook. So the insults fly. It's ridiculous. I did talk to a gal who was 56 on there for a short while. But remember, we talked about intellectualism versus cowardice. She was highly intelligent. And in the first 7 conversations that we had, these conversations went well over an hour. And then she did did a reverse Google search on this beautiful fotch right here and found all the newspaper articles where CTV and whatnot called me racist. And then she was kind of floored at the fact that my face appeared on every single newspaper's website in the country for something or other. And then she says to me that, she just does not want to be associated with that kind of a life. Oh, okay. So highly intellectual, no guts whatsoever. But aside from that, no, Facebook dating sucks. Hold on. There was another question here about apps. If no good, what is the best dating app? Oh man. I've had experience with Tinder and Match in the past. I don't know, they weren't especially great because I understand where women are coming from, Melanie. A lot of them want to make sure that you're real. So they want to meet in person, which is really kind of shocking here in Alberta, that they don't want to talk on the phone to vet you. They want to meet in person to make sure you're real and not some kind of a catfish. Thinking, okay, well, vetting on the phone is safer.
Mhm.
That's what I think. So, guys, if you're in Alberta and you're on Tinder, I can tell you the ladies want to meet in person. So be prepared to shave, shower, clean the stink hole out, get everything ready to go, get in the car, and go meet like human beings are supposed to. No success on Match, but I also didn't play the game on Match. I didn't really pay attention to it. I think I opened up an account and left it. I think I logged in a couple of times. So you got to work it though. Any dating app, guys, it's kind of like network marketing. You got to sit there for 2 or 3 hours a day and click on links and make funny comments and answer questions.
Mhm.
But Melanie, I got to ask you
Um,
this question. Go ahead.
well, I haven't tried Facebook dating, but I did try Match and I did try the pure blood dating for a while. So yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I got to ask this because
Okay.
I'm a man. I'm speaking from the man's perspective. What the hell is it with women in 1 and 2 word answers? Like maybe even half a sentence. That's all you get. Why are women not that creative on dating apps? They have nothing to say. Any idea?
Oh,
It's annoying.
no idea really, because I tend to give thorough answers. So I don't know. I would say that I'm thinking that if you're not putting an effort in and you're only giving 1 or 2 word answers, I would take that as an indication that she's actually not really that interested, or she would engage more. So
Okay, well, I'll go with that because it is aggravating to type that much. Now, fortunately, I can dictate and it types for me. Um, but you got to check the spelling because you can sound like an ass if you let it write some of the things it writes. But then you get the 1 and 2 word answers back. It's really irritating. So it's swipe left. Done. Done. You're not creative enough for me. Period. Hold on. Rumble Room it's really lit up here. What
nice.
else do we got there? Oh, here's a comment. Strong woman usually means strongly opinionated, and very feminine, real strong women don't need to talk about how strong they are. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
I agree
Yeah,
fully as well.
absolutely agree.
All right. What's the purpose of a call-in show if you have to vet the number and the person? Because all the left-wing nuts can't stand me in this country, and they're going to call in here, and they'll probably be killing a cat or something in the microphone. They'll scream profanities and obscenities. They'll behave themselves like complete jerks, and we really don't want to have F-bombs on this show, or C-bombs or any other bombs out there. So if you have a question, like, we'll bring you on. The vetting process is really not as detailed as you think. It's more a matter of if you're going to send me your name and phone number, well, I'll send you the contact info. That's not vetting. It's just playing it safer. Families watch this show, guys, and there are a lot of single moms that watch me and watch my show and watch what I do. And this is a dating show, so maybe this is not appropriate for kids, but we're still not going to be swearing on this show because I don't want kids associating the F word with me. Okay, there we are. I'm not Eddie Murphy from 1988. Perfect. More questions here. We have very few men today. Men have turned into complete cowards. I agree. I absolutely agree, which is, again, the conversation that you and I had that led to this show being thought up in the first place. Well, how did you meet this gentleman that you're currently maybe could be dating?
Someone I've known for years, but just not super well until recently.
Oh, so should I go through my high school yearbook and flip through the pages?
You
She
might
had a
want to.
94%. No, I wouldn't.
You,
No,
yeah, it's worth it.
no, no,
No.
no, I'm not. No, bad
Yeah.
joke. No, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. I walked away from all that stuff 35 years ago. I'm not going back to it. Period. So I'm just going to check all your questions here in the Rumble Room, guys. Gals, hold on a second there. All right. Okay. Pure blood. Yeah. Melanie, what's pure blood? People are asking about what pure blood is.
Oh, I don't even know if it's still up and running, but it was the dating service that was available for those who refused to get the COVID jabs.
Okay. So guys, check it out. Pure blood dating. Just type that in Google. or better
Yeah,
yet,
if
DuckDuckGo, or any search engine for
hopefully,
that
yeah,
matter.
hopefully it's still running, up and running. I don't know.
Okay, very good. And okay, guys, people, this is not a political show. I'm not answering any political questions whatsoever on a dating show. You guys want to talk about Trump? Find a different room and go talk there. Okay, maybe get a room and talk there. Curly makes a good point. I'd rather talk on the phone than write a story. I've had zero luck, and I mean zero luck, getting women to talk on the phone. They all want to meet in person. That means I've got to write a whole schedule up to say, okay, Mary on Tuesday and Susan on Wednesday. And, it's the dating game. So these are the things that we have to do. I'd rather talk on the phone because I want to vet as well. I mean, if I'm not going to be able to have a conversation with you on the phone, what the hell are we going to talk about in person?
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
I would tend to agree. I feel like just going right to a meet is maybe a little sudden. I feel like you should both be, each person should be vetting, and you gotta find the commonalities, the common interests, see, yeah, make sure the conversation's gonna flow. I wouldn't want to waste my time meeting someone unless I knew that the potential of that being the case was there.
okay. Well, yeah, endless messaging it's crazy. I think 5 really good messages back and forth in a dating app is enough. If you've
Mhm.
got each other's attention, let's say you send 5 messages back and forth, and each one is about a paragraph or 2, and you're still talking after that, talk on the phone. My
Yeah,
God, stop hiding behind keyboards. Yeah, because
yeah.
if you're on these dating apps, supposedly you're seeing an accurate representation of them. I threw together a quick profile. I grabbed all the photographs that I could find where I've got something interesting in the background. Yeah, because a lot of women, they do this thing and they're on top of a mountain or they're on a beach. You know, it's always got to be a crazy wild background. There's like nothing. There's never a Tim Hortons in the background or a junkyard, or a hockey rink. It's always got to be some outdoor flamboyant thing. I've decided not to do the nonsense, so I just smile. That's all you gotta do. But yeah, the picture should be interesting. So now you know what each other look like. You've been chatting back and forth. Talk on the phone. Talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Period. Well,
Yeah.
no-
Yeah.
yes, we had a conversation earlier, and I'm going to let you take this over in a second here about relationships that you're already in, and they are strained and falling apart because of that god awful family member
Mm.
who puts way too much pressure on one of the people in the relationship. Crappy mother, for example, bad grandma, annoying sister, drunk brother. Now, I've gone through all of the above. Overly protective father, for example. One example I'll give, Mel, is that I had this one girl's father. I was 23 and she was 26. And he decided to tell me that I had no business dating his little girl, that he'd make sure that I didn't. And then he puts a BB gun. I didn't know it was a BB gun at first. I thought it was a real rifle, but he puts the rifle right there. And then I looked down, and I realized it's one of those crank guns. And I thought, oh, okay, well, let's see what he's got to say. And I listened to the guy threaten me for 5 straight minutes. And knowing it was a BB gun, I gave him not a sarcastic answer, but I said, all right, tell you what, home by 10 then. Right. And I walked out the door. So I've had that. And I've had the miserable mother figure that sticks her nose in. But I want to get your take on this, because typically, Melanie, this affects the woman more than the man. There seems to
Mhm.
be somebody controlling a woman when she's involved with another man, from the family side. Got to talk about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it's probably more common that it affects the woman, and um, I think we need to evaluate what's important. Is this a serious relationship? And if it is, then I think it's okay to create some boundaries with our families. and it's okay to let them know what those boundaries are, and establish those early on, and say, you will not be meddling in this relationship because it has potential for me and it's important, and I'm giving it my focus. And so I think you need to evaluate what you're in. If the relationship you're in is something you're fully committed to, then you need to be able to take that stand with your family, and put them where they need to be, because it can have a detrimental impact on a relationship. I've seen it happen.
Well, I'm a prime example. It's happened to me with
Yeah.
the worst one. A mother is one thing, but mothers are easy to ignore because you walk out the door, you don't have to see her again for a couple of days. But um, the sister, it is incredible how much power a sister, especially a younger sister, has over the older sister who happens to be dating a guy that the younger single sister doesn't like or doesn't like something about. And I have yet to have any woman I've dated ever come to my defense when a sister or otherwise begin to interfere with that relationship. I've had family members try to interfere in mine. I'm a man. What do I tell them? Dude, for real, bug out. None of your business. Fungu. There's other choice words that I won't say here. But I'm also, I guess I'm kind of an alpha, and I'm not one bit interested in hearing negativity. If you have evidence that this person's bad for me, like you've got a video recording of her draining my bank account or something, like come to me with that. But, I don't think she's the right chick for you. Get out of here. Right? Let me live my life. But I noticed that women will pay attention to every single word, every single inflection of the facial expression while it's being said to them, and they will consider those words to be more accurate than their own thought processes on that relationship. Now, how do we as men combat this? Go ahead.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a tough one to combat. I think that I would agree that some women do what you suggested, not all.
No, not all,
Um,
but
yeah,
many.
but yeah, probably more than what needs to be. Um, how do men combat that? I guess, I mean, you don't want to put an ultimatum on the table, but you need to clearly communicate that, this is going to be hard on our marriage. I'm having an issue with it. What can we do about it?
Hmm. I can tell you some of the things I've done that didn't work.
Yeah, okay.
When I was younger, as a young guy who's 21, 22, obviously the first thing you go to is ultimatum because you don't know how to negotiate at that age. Didn't work. Um,
Mm.
Threats such as you keep bringing her around, I'm going to go bang someone else. Doesn't work. It really doesn't. Again, my early 20s talking. Then in a couple of instances, I dated some girls who had overbearing parents. And I would just say, listen, obviously you should be married to your father. So I'm going to step out of tonight's date. Go right ahead. And I would say, let me call your dad. Let's go to a payphone. Didn't have cell phones in the 90s. Let's go to a payphone. I'll call your dad and I'll tell him that he wins and he can marry you. Like, how dare you say that kind of thing? My dad loves me. I love my dad. You got to listen to the lecture, right? And as men, we're thinking that we can get through the lecture and still get laid, which is not true. Once it's to the lecture, guys, you got to walk. And in some cases, you got to run, right? But always smile. Don't yell and whatnot. So none of
Yeah.
those things would work.
Yeah,
So
no,
what?
those
Go
would be
ahead.
good examples of what not to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you start doing things according to your person. When I got older, I would do things according to my personality, where I'd say, "Oh, you're talking to my least favorite person again. Tell you what, I will leave the room and call you in a couple of days, maybe. See ya." And go keep myself busy. Because remember, we talked about video games being great. And you can always call your buds and find out where the nearest golf game is or the nearest hockey game is, the nearest anything. I just don't feel, philosophically speaking, that I need to impress people that I cannot stand. And I don't want to spend time with people that I cannot stand. And I'm not one that believes that you cannot pick your family. Sure, you can. You can tell family right there, right to their faces, get lost. We are done. You can say that. And you can designate people that you truly care about who've had your back in every way imaginable. You can designate them family and believe them to be. That's just how it is. So I'll spend time with people I want to be with. But if you're going to make me go, or not make me, demand that I go to your family's dinner and I hate half the family, I'm just going to politely say, look, it's going to be a crap show. It's going to be insults, stupid questions, euphemism. It's going to be vulgarity. It's going to be everything else that I cannot stand. How about you go have a good time and call me when it's done? Polite. That's how I bow out of events like that. I don't get nasty. I don't get angry. I just don't go. But if I like, let's say I like 9 out of 10 people that are there, then yeah, I'll go. Because that one person is someone that I can put down with the appropriate smile and the appropriate banter. But now let's hear from you. If men are having this problem with the overbearing family member, what should they do? Knowing what fails, what would work?
Boy, it really depends on the person as to what's going to fail and what's going to work. I think that your approach with some women won't work. Some women would say, "What a dick," and that wouldn't go very far.
They did.
Um, right? Yes. So I tend to have a pretty high people tolerance, and I think if the person you're with is important to you, and it's also important to them that you spend certain events together, like say for instance a wedding, and there's going to be people there that you don't necessarily like to tolerate. Suck it up and tolerate it. Do it for your partner, because there's going to be people you can choose to spend your time with in those environments as well. And so I think sometimes we need to put our own shit aside and compromise. Sometimes there's a lot of grace extended, I think, in a relationship when you can do that.
I agree. And that whole thing about choosing to spend time with people is great. I've noticed that the backhanded compliment sometimes works. Sometimes, like the person you cannot stand, you go and see them right at the beginning of the episode. Like, if it's a wedding, if it's a party, if it's whatever, the one that you hate the most, walk right over and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? You look great in that suit. I know it used to cover your car, but it looks better on you." Done. Don't have to see them for the rest of the night. Right? And then go and talk to the people that you do like, but smile. Remember what Russell Peters says, smiling's the best. You can say anything to anybody so long as you're smiling. Right. And yes, I agree. We should do things for the people that we love, like suck it up. The example that I gave is, let's say you hate more than half the people that are there, or more than 60%, and they hate you. What's the point? You're
Okay.
going to be putting,
Yeah.
you're going to put
In that-
yourself and them through stress, and your significant other will have to choose now between them and you. It's better to not put your wife or girlfriend into a position where she has to choose. Just let her go and have fun with these people that she probably doesn't even like, but feels guilty if she doesn't go and see them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I think that's all, that's okay. I feel like that would be fair. I feel like you need to weigh the situation out, and if it's at a tipping point that it could get hostile, then yeah, it's probably better you don't go. But don't miss them all. Go to some. Just do compromise once in a while. I think both people have to do that.
I agree. No, I totally agree. My point, I think I'm looking at it a bit differently now, only because I am 52. You're 52, which means you're going to live 5 years longer according to the national average.
Right.
Okay, so that means you've got about 37 years left to my 32. So how much time do I want to spend hanging around people that I cannot stand? And that's the way out for me. Is there are considerably fewer days ahead than there are behind. But if you're a man in your 20s, there's considerably more ahead than there are behind. So like Melanie said, yeah, suck it up, buttercup, shut the freaking hell up and get it done, because your lady will feel a bit more romantic if you endure her ridiculously awful parents and whatnot. And romance leads to things that are great, especially for men under 30 who really require that kind of thing twice a day. So don't be stupid.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of twice a day, the necessity for young men, especially when I was 18, 19, it was like 4 or 5 times a day. Why do women get so upset when their man wants it from them all the time, even if it's only just them, like just that one girl, like whoever I'm with, that's it. I want it 2, 3 times a day from them. Now, why do women get so offended by that? saying stupid crap like, I don't want to spend the whole day in bed. All you want me for is sex. I'm not just your rubber doll. There's more to me than much my vagina, you know. La, 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 la. Why? Tell me why.
Oh boy. See, it's not just a simple answer to that because all women are different and women have different libidos, women have different energy levels. And so I think some women, if you're equally yoked as far as your energy goes, and then you might not have that. That might not be an issue. But yet another woman may be physically drained and really just tired. That could be one scenario. She may not have the sex drive that you have. That could be another scenario. Yeah, I've heard that some women don't like sex as much as some men do, and I'm surprised by that, but because it can be a beautiful experience. So I don't know. I really just think it's dependent on the person and their energy, maybe their triggers, their past, their just a multitude of things.
That sucks.
It does suck. It
Yeah, that
does suck.
sucks.
Yeah,
Totally sucks because most of my relationships ended on that particular reason.
right.
Is yeah, your energy levels are so high I can't keep up with you. All you want me for is it can it just be like twice a week? No, twice a week. No, I wouldn't even negotiate for that. Not now, not ever. Not for any sum of money at all. Period. So think about that, ladies. I guess really what we should do is have these conversations. Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. Like, should we have that conversation right at the beginning of the relationship where we
I
say,
think
I like it twice a day. If you don't like it twice a day, let's not even talk.
well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to put that out there. Like, I mean, otherwise you're wasting each other's time if you invest a couple of months into something and realize that you're not sexually compatible. So yeah.
Uh-oh. We have a
How
woman who's got my problem. Bridget, what's wrong
oh,
with him? What's wrong with this guy?
right. Wow.
So her ex-husband, he would complain that she wanted too much sex. We need a
Wow.
supercomputer. Okay, this is what we got to do. We got to get a quantum computer, not a supercomputer, a quantum computer out there that matches nymphomaniac women up with men who have high sex drives and too much testosterone. That's what we need to do. Let's eliminate all world war. I'm telling you. God, Bridget, I feel so sorry for you. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's a pretty ridiculous man. Should we use the word man in that case? I'm
Eh,
not going to. You guy, just guy. We'll just say guy. Let me check the Rumble room here. Again, there's a whole bunch of comments that were made here. Just gonna have a quick look.
I recently gave my 19-year-old son the advice to
Hmm.
find someone whose energy matches his. So I guess, that kind of goes along with this because it's not just sexual energy, it's overall. You need to be equally yoked in that. I'm pretty sure it's important.
I gave similar advice, not in those words, but very similar advice. Again, coming from the male perspective, it's like, dude, for real, you're my kid. I can already tell that you're just like me at the same age. Your energy levels are through the roof. You want to achieve stuff every day and you'd like to be involved with a hot chick and do hot things all the time. So you're going to have to make sure you get that worked out at the beginning. Otherwise, you will go nuts. Your relationships will fade very quickly. But I did also say, I'm a great guy this way. Do not be as impatient as I was, because my level of patience was zero at that age. And I mean, zero. When I heard that line, all you want me for is sex, my ire would climb. There was no level 2 out of 10 anger. It was to 11. And I'd pull the car over. You're done. We're done. Get out. That would be the end of it for me. And like, that's a breakup for me. That's the 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old me. Again, testosterone through the roof, just moved out of my house. I was DJing, working 80 hours a week and so on. So I was always just on the go and did not equate that type of speech to somebody asking me for more of my quality time. So that's the advice that I give to all men out there. Do not be as impatient as the 21-year-old version of this guy here. All right, because I threw away a lot of girlfriends just by getting my back up on one thing that they would say. Don't be impatient. I think you should probably give your kid the same advice.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay. Yeah, you can call him now and tell him that if you want. Or tell him to watch this show. Give him the link and tell him to watch the replay. By
Oh,
the
my
way, we got
son, he often peeks around the corner. He listens to the show all the time.
oh well, good. So there
He
you go,
actually
kid.
gave you the thumbs up when you were talking about speed dating, and he actually was coming in the door and reached, kind of went back in. He's like, yeah, but you were talking about, yeah, hair, pretty boobs. He's like,
Yeah, we're men. My God, like it's that easy. We're simple creatures. Simple. Mike Martins. Mike runs his own podcast. He's been doing it for a very long time. Mike has been sending me some really crazy things. Actually, Mike, here, tell you what, I'm actually going to put one of them up on the screen here. It's on my phone. That's why you got to email me, everyone, because I can't get images from phone to here. All right. So the image is of a chick, not the best looking girl in the world. And it says, men are so confused about their current market value. And that is what is making that particular determination. So a morbidly obese woman with a piercing here. Yeah, weird jewelry all over the place, messy hair, very poor presentation, is stating that men have to get their act together. And that's not cool. And that's not somebody who's going to do very well in the dating game, because it's not a man's responsibility to accommodate you and your sloppiness, period. By the way, Mike Martins, if you had a question there, buddy, I think I sent you the link earlier today. If you want the link, Mike, to talk about this a bit, I'd love to have you in here because you're a clever guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely clever guy.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, Mel, navigating a man, when a man is losing his cool, I need to know from you why it is the first reaction women have is fear. It's fear. You know, the guy's not going to hit you if you're involved with him for a long period of time, but he gets mad. Women go straight to fear, and then tears, and then hiding in the corner. What the hell's up with that?
Oh boy. Well, I guess it could be dependent on their past, their trauma, their triggers, their own personal insecurities. Because I would think that there would be quite a spectrum of reaction. Some women might be extreme, and some women it might be more subtle. I think the fear is associated with insecurity. So I think women always have this deeply seated fear of losing the man they love for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but I think every woman at some point in every relationship has had that fear. And then sometimes we want them to leave. So
yeah. Because the reason I bring that up is you got a guy, or two guys in the room, you drop a brick on your foot and it's 50 F-bombs in a row, and then and then you walk it off, and your buddy will sit and watch, calm as hell, and then he'll say something like, dude, pop off your boot, let's see if you broke something. There's no fear. There's
right.
no emotion in the guy who did not get injured, aside from a little bit of humor, because it is kind of funny to see guys lose their minds. But then there will be a serious concern about, did you break any bones? Another situation could be that guy just loses his mind, loses his cool completely at a party and whatnot. And you get another guy who just walks over to him, puts the arm around, says, look, dude, you can't do this in front of people here. Let's go on the balcony, have a smoke, and we'll talk about this. And the two guys will just walk out, and there's no emotion from the second guy. Women don't do that. Guys losing his mind at a party, he's had a bad day, whatever he's losing his cool about, the women all kind of scatter and hide around the corner, sometimes call the police. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And that immediate reaction, that immediate leveling up of 10, like 0 to 10 in fear, is not something that we as men can relate to. And it rarely helps. Actually, it never helps. It just adds fuel to the fire. So is there any way you think that we could get women to not do this? Or is it just ingrained in the brain? Go ahead.
I honestly think that it's going to depend on the woman. Some women probably will always do it. And I feel like sometimes the more mature women know, okay, just don't say anything, let it play out, let it happen. And yeah, sometimes you just gotta just not say anything, just carry on with your business. And so I really do think it depends on the woman. But guys, I don't know how to tell you to navigate that. Yeah, hopefully you just get lucky and get a woman that's gonna go with it calmly.
No, I'll say this. This is advice to all women who are watching now. And that would be when a man is losing his cool and he's having his 2-minute temper tantrum, shut up.
Yeah,
Sit down,
don't worry.
watch, shut up. Don't say things like, stop it, calm down, stop it. Don't do that. Because now what you're doing is you're taking him from a 3 to a 10. You know how annoying it is to hear that kind of thing when you are dealing with something that has zero to do with the woman in the room, but she wants to now say her piece because I guess what she believes that saying stop it, the guy's going to say no. Oh, stop it. Of course, I'm fine. Would you like a rose? Is that what you think is going to happen? Don't say anything. When men are losing their cool, the only kind of guy in the room that's going to come out and say something is the one who's an enemy of his and will just say things to keep the flame going. But that's a deliberate act.
Yeah.
The rest of the guys in the room who actually care about the dude who's or have no skin in the game, they just won't say a word. They'll stand there and beer, watch, watch.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah.
So imagine someone screaming in front of me. Yeah, here, sip the beer.
So so women.
That's it. That's the reaction.
Hopefully, women are taking notes and they'll just notice. Just relax. Just let it play out. Don't.
You have to let it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll say this, like, I'm not proud of this. So I'm not telling you this story because it's funny. I'm just telling you the story because this is human nature. Brothers, I've got a brother who's 2.5 years my junior. I'm 19, he's 17. I got on his nerves. He got on my nerves. Two of us got into a shouting match, then a wrestling match, then a couple of fists were drawn. And my mother the whole time, stop it. What are you doing? Stop it. Don't do that. Oh my God, stop. And the two of us, we stopped fighting. And both of us stood up and looked at her and said, shut the F up. Shut up. Now we're mad at her. Okay. So I guess, the fight broke up, but we only broke the fight up to shut her up, to tell her, you got to stop. I would rather get hit in the face 50 times than listen to a woman do that. Because at least as a man, if I'm getting hit, I know what to expect. I know what my expectations are and my duty is at that particular point. But when you're getting that, stop it, nah, you're getting that crap, it's enraging. It just puts so much more gasoline on the fire. So ladies, your advice, man losing cool, sit down, shut up. When he's done, ask him if he'd like to talk about it. Calmly. Here's how you do it. Want to talk about it? And if he says no, okay. He'll do it later. He'll talk later. He will. And he'll probably even apologize later on his own. But if you make a big deal out of it with that stop it nonsense, he'll be pissed at you for a couple of days because you've gotten in the way of his expulsion of rage. And it doesn't take long for a guy to get that out. We only need that 30 seconds to 2 minutes and it's done. Now, if you're involved with a guy who has a temper tantrum for an hour, that's a psychopath. Get the hell away from him as quickly as you possibly can. That's someone with severe brain trauma or severe personality disorder, or like, as I said, psychopathic behaviors. Hold on here. I got a big question from Bridget.
Oh, wow.
I never stopped a marriage. Was highly conflict abusive mentally and physically marriage. First time we separated because of the abuse was 2015. Yes, I stupidly went back after a week separation because he and his family threatened to have my child taken away from me, not caring how much he abused me. Even in the Freedom of Information Act copies of court papers I got 1.5 years ago, he never wanted me to go. He never wanted me to go back with him after the first time. Well, abusive relationships are difficult. They really are. If it's a physical abuse thing, Bridget, women obviously are weaker than men, and man can do a whole lot of damage. And a guy who's got anger control issues will do damage and not care for at least a couple of days after he's done that damage. Then he'll rethink what he's done, maybe. And if the guy is going to raise his hand to you, that's no man. That's it. That's not a man, and that's not your man. So a guy lifts you the back of the hand, slap in the face, grabs you, shoves you, picks you up like this. You got to walk. You got to walk. Believe me, every single woman I've ever been with, Melanie, has hit me in some way or thrown things at me and irritated me to the point where I was no longer a human being. And I simply refused to hit. Leave. The advice I give every man, leave. Go cool out with your buddies. Put on the PlayStation. It's more fun. Whatever it might be. But the second that your guy hits you, you go. And on the flip side, Melanie, and maybe you agree with this, if your woman calls the police on you and lies about assault or lies about domestic disturbance, it's not your woman. If you got to spend a night in a jail cell because she had an emotional reaction to something, it's not your woman. Can't trust her. Walk. For sure. Agree or disagree, Melanie?
I totally agree. Yeah. Obviously that's toxic behavior. And if your personalities clash to the point where that's occurring, yeah, it's better off you just go your own ways.
Okay. Curly was talking about, trust me, Kevin, when a woman has it bad enough being in that type of abusive situation physically, you stop caring and end up defending yourself. Well, yes, Curly, that's human nature. Everybody gets to their breaking point with abuse. You can only push people so far before they come back in a way that you've never expected. Okay, here's an example. All right. And I'm not saying this for sympathy. Don't sympathize. Just a story. And this is me having been raised by a father who was incredibly violent, rage issues beyond reproach. Never hit my mother, but beat the living crap out of me and my brother. I mean, what kind of a man beats the crap out of toddlers? That's what he would do. He would lose his mind on a second's notice. And I reached my breaking point. So what I started doing at 16 is I paid a guy to teach me some martial arts, some really vicious martial arts moves, like, the fish hook where you rip the skin, the eye gouge, the ripping off of the ear, the slapping of the ears on either side. There's a lot of tricks this guy had taught me because that's what I was paying him for. And I decided to go back and I told my old man that, first off, Melanie, I took a can of gasoline home with me, poured gas all over the carpet in the basement and lit a road flare. That's how far he pushed me. I was ready to burn him alive. And I told him that. Touch me again and I'll burn you alive in your sleep, which made me the alpha male of the household. But I moved out a month later because that's not who I am. And I was around such a toxic man that I was becoming a toxic piece of crap myself. And, look at me, I'm smiling all the time. I help people all the time. I'd much rather make love than be in a fist fight or burning down someone's house. But yeah, so Bridget, I get that. Curly, your point's well taken. You can push a woman who's only 105 pounds to that kind of a breaking point. As men, it's our job to not do that. It's our job to protect our women no matter what. Don't raise your fist to a woman, no matter what she does. And remember, guys, when I also said to you, if your woman starts hitting you, like I'm an annoying guy. So the women who have hit me, I got to kind of say maybe they needed that outlet. And when women are punching, it's like a bent fist and it's like this. So it doesn't really hurt. But I tell every man the same thing. If your woman is going to hit or beat on you like that, open your hand, protect your neck and your ear with one hand, other hand over the crotch, and you take it. Let them exhaust themselves. They can punch until they're exhausted. You don't hit back. That's the rules. All right. Mel, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it's appropriate for a woman to even be hitting a man, in my opinion. I guess I could see where some people would be pushed to the point where that's their only reaction is beyond the rational thought threshold, and then that's all they have left is to just lash out physically. But I still think it's highly inappropriate either way. But I guess if under no circumstances do I think a man should ever hit a woman. But I really don't see why there's a need for a woman to ever hit a man either, in my opinion.
sometimes, and look, I'm not defending the action, because when women are throwing things at me or hitting me and whatnot, it is assault. No matter how you look at it, it's assault. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to call the cops and make a big deal out of it. I was going to do my very best to absorb all the punches and whatever else and maybe get laid. Because again, I'm a man. I'm telling you how men think. We think that we can get through this argument and still get laid and go to bed. And again, I mean, some of the arguments that I've had with some of the ladies I've been involved with, like the asininity of them is I did get suckered into it. I got pulled in to some of these arguments, and I caught myself. I'm thinking, wait, what am I doing? And I would realize, okay, come on, we got to stop. We got to stop. Like this is not going anywhere, and it wouldn't. So I would do things like just to really piss them off further, because I've always transferred the aggravation to whomever is trying to aggravate me, and then that's when they would lose it and start hitting. So, guys, that's not the right thing to do either. That's the 20-year-old me doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whatever you do, guys, when a woman's yelling at you, don't say, "I know you are, but what am I?" All right. Pee-wee Hermans, don't do it. They will start hitting. But as men, yeah, we just have to take it, guys. That's how it is. That's how it is. Do not hit back.
I'm thinking if it gets to the point where it's physical like that more than once, that you should probably reevaluate if it's a healthy relationship or not, or it maybe look internally, and maybe you've got some stuff that needs to be dealt with. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, Mike, I know you're watching the show. He couldn't find the link to come in. I think Mike's got a couple of comments to make. So let me just get him an invitation to pop on in.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, check your email box in 3, 2, and 1. Boom. If you're coming in, Mike, we'd love to hear what you've got to say on the whole thing, because you are a cleverer man than most. All righty. So the whole thing is we covered last show the first show, how to flirt with a man. And I think men are kind of opting out of this whole dating thing because they're not getting any particular type of recompense for what they're doing. It's difficult to tell with modern women who seem to be guarded about everything. Is it working? Am I funny? Am I interesting? Does she care about what I'm saying? The guys are having a difficult time reading this stuff, as in many cases, a woman's facial expression doesn't line up with what she's thinking. And a lot of women have explained this to me, that they kind of blew it on the dance floor because they didn't have that flirtatious facial expression with a guy they thought was hot. They just looked up and maybe they had not a miserable look on their face, but a dead look, and didn't present. So they lost out on that particular opportunity. Can I ask you, Melanie, why do women have such a tough time with this?
Well, I think it depends on the woman. I know women who are so good at flirting. So, yeah, I think it depends on the person. I think if you have a hard time flirting, it comes down to a lack of confidence, and that's unfortunate. Um, it's nice when you get to the point in your life where you don't really give a shit. You're not out to impress anybody, and there's a certain confidence that comes with that, and a comfort level that comes with that, and that does make flirting a little easier. I would like to see all women get to that point, to be honest, because then you can just be comfortable being you, and those who accept it will accept it. Those who don't will don't, and or well, won't. Sorry, and then you can just move on. It's that simple.
Okay. Well, keep in mind, ladies, men are also dumb in reference to that kind of thing. So if you think that you're flirting, you're probably not flirting according to him. So if
That's
you think,
true. Yeah. Yeah, you
so
probably
yeah.
need to level it up a little bit, because you need to make it pretty obvious to some men.
Oh no, you have to make it obvious to almost all men. Right?
Okay.
There's not as many Casanovas out there as Hollywood would like you to think. And men are distracted. They really are. So if you're going to do it, ladies, if you think that you're flirting, ask yourself, is this flirtation a 10 out of 10? Because it has to be a 10 out of 10 before the guy's going to notice. We are that dumb. Now, if you think you're doing a 10, you're probably not. So whatever it is you're doing, triple it. All right.
That's okay. Good advice. I hope women are listening to that because I think sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to come on too strong, but maybe we need to ramp it up all the way, and to the guy it might come across as subtle flirting, which actually might get somewhere. So
All right. So I got to tell a story now because Mike is in the room. Mike's gonna be part of this thing I'm gonna say here. There's a
awesome.
bar in Calgary. It's called Ranchman's. It's like the meat market of town.
Mhm.
It's built like an old saloon. The place is remarkable. They've got free country swing and two-step dance lessons and whatnot. And the single women, there's been a couple of singles nights I've been to at this place where the guys get in free, and there's so many single chicks going that they got to pay a cover. You believe that? In Ontario, it was the exact opposite. So in
Mhm.
Alberta, women got to pay a cover. But here's the problem. And Mike, you're going to weigh in on this. Ladies will always show up in a group of 3, 4, and 5 and all sit together and give out their weird looks. And you're expecting a guy to walk over to your table when he's got to compete with your 4 friends to get you to jump on the dance floor with them. So, Mike, come on in. Let's talk about this. And all 3 of us are going to discuss this. What's
Hey,
up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just chilling out here listening to the show, and sounds really good. And um, yeah, I'm married. I'm happily married. I've been with my significant other for 12 years now, and I was
Well, then why are
previously
you
married
watching a dating show?
because what? I can't watch my friend Kevin.
Oh, of course you can, brother. I'd love having you on board, man.
So no, but I do have a lot of advice because I did go through a lot of. I went through a lot of loneliness, right? A lot of loneliness, and I think I'm successful. I've always think I'm doing well or kind of ahead of the curve. You know, my my experience is very simple. It's Miami. I lived in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. It's
Oh,
pick and choose. Pick and choose. It's just go into a bar, you just pick and choose, talk, mingle, have a few drinks, laugh, have a good time. When I moved to Vancouver, it's a different card. It's a different other side of the card. It is I was completely alone in Vancouver for most of the time I was there. And I couldn't land a date at a bar, at a club. I would go to a salsa bar. I danced salsa because I lived in Miami. It did not click. It's a different Miami, pick and choose. Vancouver, nobody. It's the for me, and I know you're going to argue with me on this, Kevin. You can. Height in Vancouver is massive. It's make or break. I'm only 5'7", and women like men to tower over them where I lived in Vancouver, and that's just. And I could prove it to you, and I know why. There's a secret. I know. I did something behind the scenes that the average person didn't have the caliber to do behind the scenes, right? I had a small internet cafe section on my store in Vancouver, and me and 4 other guys would sit on Plenty of Fish, and we would message the exact same girl, the exact same message from different 4 different accounts simultaneously live. So, okay, guys, go to this one. Everyone gets to it. Okay, let's message her. Hey, how you doing? Let me know. Let me know how your night's going. Everyone would message. The only guy that got a return message was the guy that was 6'4". Everybody else was completely ignored on every person we spoke to. We were completely ignored. Everyone. And then we tried it with different guys. So I kept doing this for fun. So we tried it with different, because I'm in the mall. So I got this internet thing in the mall, and I asked guys, here, I'll give you some free internet if you want to message some people. We'll see like how this works. I changed my height to 6'2". I was getting 12 to 35 messages a day.
mm.
Yep.
This 6-foot threshold women have in their heads.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty out of control. Like to the point where my son actually asked, because he's not quite 6 feet, but he's almost there. Hey, Dad, should I wear platform shoes? I said, well, maybe we should get you a custom pair of shoes that when you're wearing them, you are exactly 6 feet tall. Right. And he's got the same thick, woolly locks that I had at the same age, with his hair being out and puffy. He's already 6 feet tall. But Mel, if you tell a woman that you're 6 feet and you're 5'10" and a half, is she going to be mad?
Well, I think depends on the woman, because women would say that's false advertising and that's being dishonest. And I feel like we should all be pretty honest on these sites because we're selling ourselves. So.
Yeah, and I did say earlier I hated the idea of women saying that my friend is pretty and she's not. So false advertising. But Mike, you make a good point. And this is what's going on TikTok. Is one of the reasons why I thought I would start this up too, is I was listening to interviews on TikTok and Snapchat and other stupid social media platforms where guys are interviewing women all under the age of 30. So girls in most cases. What kind of guy do you want? I want a guy who's 6'2", $150,000 a year, 2 cars. Yeah, but it's always, that's the first thing they say. First thing, 6 feet tall.
Yep. In Miami, for some reason, when I lived there, there was no height. I guess height doesn't exist in Miami. So if you're an outspoken, having fun, kind of the life of the party at the club, and people are checking you, laughing, having a good time, and women would come up and start talking, and it's the complete opposite. That's just my experience, though, because I lived there. I was there for years, and I got to see. But then when I got to Vancouver, it was like a slam door shut, and
Mike, that's a cultural thing per city. Phoenix, Arizona was like that when I lived there. You could talk to any woman anytime, especially if you went further south into Mesa, where the university was. And then you compare that to Toronto. Don't get me going on women in Toronto, man. It is not possible to have decent anything in Toronto. And that's not a slight on women. That's the whole city's culture sucks. So yeah, the thing in Vancouver you're experiencing is very much a Vancouver cultural thing. Toronto, the cultural thing there is just misery. And what can you give me? How much money do you have? That's Toronto. Miami, Tampa, Phoenix, Denver, party cities. At least they were. I don't know what they're like now.
Yeah. Well, when I lived in Toronto, and I obviously was a lot younger, and I wanted to go out, have fun, meet women, have a good time, I would drive to Atlanta. I would take 12 hours, spend a weekend in Atlanta, go to Buckhead, and hit the nightclubs there. And I was always meeting people and talking and having a great time. They're like, why don't you go to clubs in Toronto? And I'm like, so I could pay $20 or $15 cover, $8, $9 a drink, and then what? And then just be ignored the whole night? I would go down to Atlanta, and it was amazing in Buckhead. I would go to Peachtree Street. I would spend up and down, or walk up the strip up and down, and people would call me into clubs. Hey, come over here, man. This is good. Go in, live bands. It was the best. I spent a whole weekend in Atlanta. Sunday morning, Sunday afternoonish, drive home. Yeah.
Atlanta in the 90s was a cool town. Not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And I'm sure if you went to Dusseldorf or London in the 90s, it would have been exactly opposite Toronto and Vancouver. Canada's not exactly party central, everybody, for those who think that it is, except Montreal from, I guess, about 1982 to about the end of 1998. What a wonderful place that was for nightclubs. Yeah, but
it's like Los Angeles. Los Angeles was 81 through 86 was the time to be in Los Angeles was 81 through 86. That was the time to be there. That was the party. That's when the whole cocaine scene kicked off. That was like a big party, high-end parties, fancy cars.
And for the men out there who think that cocaine are going to amp you up, yes, it's going to amp you up to get things done. But too much cocaine and you're going to be flaccid.
I'm not into drugs myself. But 80 to 81 was 81 to 86 was New York. 81 to 86 was LA. And then from let's say 94, after they cleaned up New York a little bit, up until 2004, 2005, it was New York City, Manhattan. The packing district got got cleaned up with Giuliani. A lot of things got cleaned up, and they really cleaned up that packing district. And that was a great place to go down to the packing district in Manhattan. I've been there a few times to party. Amazing. And, you just have to kind of be at the right time in the right, place, I guess.
So Mike and Melanie, now we're going to talk about Calgary here, because it's a little bit easier to talk to women in Alberta. I mean, actually, no, it's not. It's a whole friggin' ton easier to talk to women in Alberta than anywhere else in the country, with the exception of Newfoundland. But what I'll this whole thing of single women in Alberta are on the prowl, and single guys don't really seem to give a crap. They really don't. Melanie, you made the observation that men in Alberta are kind of weak and flabby and uninteresting. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I would say definitely uninteresting for a large majority of what was on Match when I was browsing through there. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess now we're starting to see why the bars are full of women and not men. But the idea that women have to pay cover because there's so many of them showing up and nobody's interacting with each other. What is going on there? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Wow, I don't know. Is it some sort of social conditioning that we're not aware of? I'm not sure. I think so.
Well, that could be it. I mean, it certainly could be it. What I will say this for all the men across Canada who are watching right now, when you go to nightclubs in Alberta, there's not many, but when you go, the ladies really doll themselves up. They like to put on really, really tight shirts and really, really tight jeans. And usually they have a cute pair of cowboy boots and a cowboy hat to go with it. Believe me, they look good here in Alberta. But like I said earlier, they'll show up in a group of 4 or 5 and sit at a table alone, and guys won't go over and talk to them. Now, one thing I did learn as a young man, when you walk over to a table and there's 5 or 6 women there and you're zeroing in on the one that you want, very difficult to break through the other 4. Not because they're going to build a wall around, but because they're going to have some type of a snide comment. You got to say, "Hi, I'm Kevin. Hi, I'm Kevin. Hi, I'm Kevin. Well, yeah, what's your name? I don't care. I'm not macking on you. I like this one." So maybe, Melanie, you've got some advice when if it's a group of 5 women at a table, we'll say, and the guy wants to come over and ask one specific one to dance. What should the table do?
The table should be inviting. Especially if you got women in your group that are single, that are maybe looking to potentially meet somebody there that night, then girls, help a girl out. Yeah, don't make it difficult for the guys.
So you're talking be a wingman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I used to do in my 20s is it was dishonest, but we'd make up bullcrap stories. And if I saw a buddy of mine talking to a good looking lady, I'd walk over to him, put my arm around him, and I'd say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Kevin. This guy here, this is my man right here. This guy pulled me out of a burning car 2 years ago, saved my life, saved my mother. This one here, the best guy on the planet. Kiss on the cheek, cheers, walk away." That's all she needed to hear. All right. So that's what a wingman does. But I noticed that women won't do that. They'll sabotage each other.
Yeah.
Any idea why that is?
Gosh, it just has to come down to insecurities. I don't know why it's so hard for some women to genuinely be happy for other women, especially their friends. I'm not one of those women, and I hang out with women who are similar to me. So I just feel like maybe you need to choose your friends a little better.
Do women understand the wingman concept or the wingwoman concept? Do they get that you're supposed to kind of chat up your friend? You're supposed to build up your friend. If she's interested in a man, you got to build her up a bit. Like what I just said, the bullshit story, the bullcrap story that I would say in the bar, why can we get women to do this? Is there a way to convince them that that's the right thing to do?
I think that's a great idea. We should encourage women to do that for sure.
All right. Well, ladies, are you listening? Are you listening? The wingman. If Mike and I were both like going out picking up chicks, believe me, Mike would be my wingman. He'd probably say something similar. This guy here, saved my daughter, whatever, sinking ship. Look at the scar on his leg. He got bit by a dog, saving me from the dog. I mean, there's just that wingman stuff that you got to do.
Kevin, I would jump on the grenade for you. Like what I do, jump on the grenade is a saying. I learned that down in the South. Jump on the grenade means you go after the least attractive girl in the group and start talking her up. And then the other friends will come and join and start talking to everyone else. That's called jump on the grenade.
All right. I could see where that would work. Yeah,
I love it.
pretty smart. It's pretty smart. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's a strategy I haven't tried yet. So I'll have to go find a couple of wingmen and give that one a shot.
Yeah, like because I'm married and settled, I don't have a problem jumping on the grenade, just talking to somebody, and then this will eventually, this will give the open, that open door for you to jump in, type of thing. You get what I'm saying with this, right? So
Yeah,
for me,
totally.
just to talk to somebody, hey, how's it going? Good, good. I just wanted to mention, you look like an aunt of mine, and I thought or a sister or somebody I grew up with at school. Keep it simple, right? And then you come over and see that I jumped on the grenade, and then you'd go after, you know what I mean? Because then the other girl will get like kind of jealous that her friend's talking to somebody and not her.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yes.
That is the most bizarre. The whole jealousy thing is crazy.
Yes.
Mike, here's the way it works with guys. Ladies, this is the male perspective on what Mike just said. All right. Let's say I'm going to pick this one here up. All right. Let's just say. So I go over and strike up a conversation, but I got 4 of my buddies with me. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do this. So we acknowledge, good for you. And they're going to walk away and leave me alone. And one is going to come over later on and pay that wingman compliment out. And then he's going to walk away because that's his job as my friend. There's no jealousy there. In fact, the 4 of them are going to go to the bar and they're probably going to watch and say, hey, look at him. Okay. Yeah. She's smiling. How does he do it? Oh, I love that guy. They're happy for him. He's not even scored anything yet. They're just happy for him. Melanie, talk to me. Why are women the exact opposite? Go.
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's an insecurity. I don't know why there is such an inability for some women to be happy for other women. It's got to stop. But again, yeah, you just got to go out with a better group of friends because there are women out there who get that and who want happiness for you. Although, if you do see some flags, you got to keep your girl in check that way too. So you do have to be honest. But I think maybe for some women, it's not jealousy when your friend gets a conversation going and you don't. It could just be sheer awkwardness because they don't want to sit there by themselves, not talking to anyone. So could be it.
Gotcha. Wow. Ladies, there you go. Do the male thing. Be happy for your friend.
Yes.
Like just be happy for her because that's what men are. The biggest, the most pleasurable thing that one man can hear from his friend is that I'm getting married. She said yes. And then boom, if there's no cigars in the pocket, they're going to the cigar store and they're lighting them up. It's congratulations, high five. It's getting on the phone. Mark's getting married. Guys, you're not going to believe it, man. Yeah, she's hot. Yeah. That's how guys are, man. We are always happy for each other when a man makes an advancement in his life, especially in the dating game. And Melanie, I know that we're not psychiatrists here, so we're not going to have all the answers, but we are going to give the advice because, there's the word right over there. Amazing dating advice.
Right.
Women, be happy for your friends. Yeah. My God, man. If you're feeling a little bit jealous, go do something about it. But be happy for your friend and go find your own way in life. Go find your own man. Geez, man, don't compete with your friends. It's horrendous. What do you think is going to happen when you compete with your friends or get jealous about your friends? They're not going to be your friends for much longer, or maybe they will. But Melanie, I know how women are. You're going to be fake friends with like fake compliments where it's stuff like, I'm glad you bought those pants because it makes your thighs look half their size. That's not a compliment. That's an insult.
Yeah.
We call it a backhanded compliment. But my God, like the poison that comes out of women sometimes is it's frightening.
I can offer one more piece of advice to women because there usually will be one single woman in the crowd and she doesn't want to always sit home alone. So women, don't get so absorbed in your relationships that you stop making time for the girls. I think that's important and that will help the situation. I have a group of girls and we try to get together once a week. This podcast kind of got in the way of that. We had something called Thirsty Thursdays and we've had to move that to another day of the week. But it's super important that you let your man know one night a week, that's girl time. Sorry. And keep that going, because that might help sustain some of those girl insecurities and keep those bonds strong. And then maybe women could be happier for each other if you still make sure that you're devoting some time to that friend group.
That's a good point, Melanie. You as a woman, let's say this relationship you're getting involved with works. You could tell this guy that we're together now. I'm not interested in picking up men. I'm not going to the bar to pick up men. I'm going to go be Susan's wingman. You know, Susan's looking for some and she ain't had any in a while, and I'm going to help her get it. And then when she gets it, I'm leaving and coming home and you're getting it. Yeah. Like, we should be this honest in our relationships in general. There should be no insecurity whatsoever in talking to our man, our woman, or whatever we have in our lives, period. So ladies, I think the takeaway for tonight, be happy for your friends, put jealousy aside. If your friend's talking to a guy and you're not, go talk to a guy. Like, you have to do that. Go talk to a guy, especially now that men have been so browbeaten. They're terrified to approach women at all. You go approach. You let the feminists dictate the terms to society. Well, here's the new society that you all wanted. You don't like it. Tough. Go talk to a different guy. Too freaking bad. All right. I have to address one more thing, Mike, and I know, Melanie, you're going to have some thoughts on this. There's something else that really gets in the way in the dating game and in relationships in general. Now, again, as a man, I'm observing this as a heterosexual man who's had this done over and over again. Women will put an idea in their own head, believe it to be real, react as if it is, talk to their man in an accusatory fashion as if this thought was real, and then get upset when he doesn't go along with her thought processes on it and gives the incorrect emotional response that she's looking for. So let's start with you, Melanie. What the hell, man? How and why does this happen? Go ahead.
Well, I think again, it comes down to life experience and insecurities. And I know I've seen it. I've witnessed it, but I also know a handful of women who don't do it. But I guess girls, is it worth fighting about? I mean, really, it's time that we just grow up and start being secure in our relationships, communicate better, because I think if there's more communication on both parts, there's less risk of being insecure.
Wow. Mike, your thoughts?
Hollywood syndrome. It's the Hollywood syndrome. I see a lot of women that are seeing and make believing what may be happening or accusing of what's going on. And they saw it somewhere. They saw it in a movie. They saw it in a novella. And they feel like, oh my God, if he's doing it to her, it's being done.
You lost your mic. You lost your volume.
Done to no audio.
Okay,
can you hear me?
I'll repeat that because we lost.
Okay,
your audio.
yeah. Sorry. So Hollywood syndrome. It's just women are believing that they are basically in a movie, and that's what I see a lot when I was living in Vancouver. Accusations towards men, things towards men. This is something you'd see in a telenovela. Why is this coming up in a relationship? Why is she automatically thinking this? Usually, it's because she's guilty of doing it herself, and that's called projecting.
Okay. I've got a treat for everybody. This just came up. So whoever in the Rumble room said this just came up, thank you for showing it to me.
That was great, Mike.
Okay, Mike, thank you. But somebody asked earlier this show, what do we think about Facebook dating? And I said it sucked. Okay, here's what happened, everybody. It's called Calgary or YYC dating, something like that. And in there, I put a photograph of me deadlifting. Now, you ladies and gentlemen know that I have now deadlifted 425 pounds. I'm working on getting to 500 because I want to be strong. That's it. Right. In doing this, a lot of women over 40 were very impressed by it. And it led to conversations, which is great. You know, but what I did is I mentioned I lifted 425 and I put the wrong photograph up of me a month ago, only lifting 365. So this left-wing beta cuck gets onto the same Facebook dating page, takes the photo I put up and puts it on Reddit. I'm going to show you what happened. Okay, so on Reddit here, this is the article. So tonight I came across disgraced mayoral candidate Kevin J Johnston on Facebook dating group. He spells dating wrong. Okay, this is the photo. Oh, okay, it goes to a different window. Okay, whatever it is. It's me lifting or holding 365 pounds, not the 425. Oops, wrong picture. Sorry. All right. Then the comments. I'm not a woman, but I feel like not an asshole ranks higher in the priority than lifts 500 pounds when it comes to dating. On my dating profile, blah. Okay, look. All of these comments are negative. Look how many there are. All right. Hey, rocks for dinner. It's cheap and high on the iron that a bodybuilder needs. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. He's single, go figure. He's currently millions in the hole for defaming and harassing people. Who would willingly commingle finances with this douche? And it just goes on and on. And then there's more replies within all of this, right? So, yes, I admit that I put the wrong photograph up, but wow, they cannot wait to point out all of this. Look at all these negative comments. Look at them all. Wow. 5 replies here. All right. Yeah. Bulking up for prison. Wasn't he supposed to be in prison by now? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Ain't no way that's 25 pounds. Yeah. And so on. Oops. Wrong picture. It leads to all of these armchair keyboard coaches. It's still good. I'm only halfway through the list. Oh my God. These people need to get lives. Look at all of this, man. It's nuts. So if you're wondering about Facebook dating, it's stupid. You know why? Because it's free. That's why, right? Yeah. And all the rejects are going to show up there because it's free. And Facebook is still trolled by a lot of left-wing idiots. But I have noticed that there's considerably fewer left-wing idiots on things like Tinder. And you can tell if they are because they've usually got purple or pink or blue hair. I see that. Gone, X. So there you go. Melanie, your thoughts on all that negative commentary? That 10 screens worth. Go ahead.
Wow. Well, you do have a lot of fans on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So good to know things haven't changed. So you're poking the bears. That's okay. I've heard Facebook dating is a lost cause. I haven't never tried it, but from friends that I've known that have, yeah, they're like, there are definitely better options out there. So let's avoid that.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend that you don't do it. So what I'll do, everybody, is I'll put the proper photograph up and I'll say, hey, to everybody on Reddit, oops, and let them go to town again. Because the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
That's
Oscar
right.
Wilde. We're down to our last 3 minutes. Mike, could you tell people who you are, please? Go ahead.
My name is Mike Martins, and I've been on social media since pretty much 2008. And you could find me on Rumble if I don't get taken down there. And the show's called Mike in the Night. And it's open lines and people call in from across the Commonwealth.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Mike, it's Saturday night's your show, right?
That's correct. 7 p.m. Pacific time.
7 p.m. Pacific. So that's 10 p.m. Toronto time, everybody. Watch Mike's show. Mike, thanks for stopping in, man. It's always a pleasure to see you. And thanks for sending all those crazy photographs. Take care, boss. Melanie, down to our last 2 minutes now. Do you have any concluding statements for the evening based on all the subjects we covered?
Well, we did cover a lot. This was kind of a packed show. So what did we learn? Let's recap what we learned. We learned that we need to chill out. We need to learn that we learned that we need to pay attention and establish boundaries in some situations. And we learned that sometimes we need to be more
Don't get fat after you get married. or lazy.
We learned that,
or
yeah.
ugly. Yep.
We learned to find someone whose energy matches your energy. So
good. And shut up. We learned that one. When man is angry, shut up. Say nothing. Okay, we know that one. Women, Melanie, you heard it from Melanie. Don't be insecure. Don't be jealous. Be a wingman for your female friends. You got to do that. What else? Oh, yeah. Groups of women who are single, who are looking to pick up men. Try this. Brand new idea. Call guys over to your table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
there
a
you
thought.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And use phraseology such as, hey, handsome, come over here and join us. Hey, sweet cheeks. Hey, rock iron buns. Pick something cute. Call them over. Or go British style. Hey, darling, join us at this table. You got to do something cool. Okay, so we've learned that tonight. Stupid ideas in your head. Those are your ideas. Your man probably didn't do anything like what you're thinking he did. So shut up. All right. What else? Oh, there's a whole bunch of notes that we made here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And huh. Okay, huh. If your man's going, huh? Huh? What? Huh? A lot, you're not making any sense. You're saying stupid crap that he doesn't want to talk about. And if he has to say, huh, and then after you explain yourself a second time, he goes, what? It's not worth it. Give him a kiss and a hug and walk away, put it out of your head, call your friends and tell them.
Yeah.
Melanie, you rebranded your social media. So
Yes. Yeah.
tell us about TikTok. Go ahead.
Well, TikTok's kind of more my freedom rants, but you're welcome to follow me on there. It's kind of fun sometimes to scroll through TikTok and share some stuff. And yeah, feel free to.
And that's you there. That's M Switz.
Yep.
Beautiful. And you're also on Instagram. We showed this picture earlier today. Regrettably, she does not own the car, but
No.
Instagram at Switzer Sings. All right. What can people expect there?
Well, you got a little bit of everything from me on there, and it's kind of my life in a nutshell on there. So yeah, if you want a little more insight as to who I am, that's a good place to follow me.
Yeah, fantastic. And if you want to know more about my dating escapades, I guess you can just go to Reddit and type in my name. There we go. All right, Melanie, it's just such a pleasure to see you as always. We'll see you in a week.
Sure will. Have a good night.
Oh, yeah, you too. Take care of yourself. That's Melanie Switzer, everybody. What an absolute doll. She is such a fun gal to talk to. And if you haven't ever had a conversation with her in person and you see her in person, go say hi. She's an Alberta girl. She's friendly. She'll talk to you. And Melanie tends to have some decent looking ladies hanging around her. Some may be single. You never know until you try. So I would highly recommend that all you stop being chicken shits, pardon my language, get out there and start having conversations because life is really friggin' short. I'm 52. My lifespan ends at age 83. What is that? That's what, 31 years to go? Not a lot of time. And I'm not going to be spending any of that time sitting around moping, crying, and pouting. It's simply not going to happen. I highly recommend you follow along with that particular life philosophy. Even if you're in your 20s, what the hell are you waiting for? I mean, you don't want to be 45 and single, guys. You just don't. Try your very, very best to find yourself an incredible woman who's going to love you for who you are and make babies together. Right? There you go. Have a relationship together. Build a life together. And as we said earlier in the show, stay away from toxic family members who are trying to sabotage everything. Kevin J Johnston's amazing dating advice, everybody. Next week, if you have any questions at all, there's the email address at the very bottom. If you like the show, feel free to donate today. By all means, email money transfers to freedomreport.ca@gmail.com. You can also donate on my personal website, which is KevinJJohnston.me. That's my name. That is it for now, everybody. We're going to see you all in a week. I love you all, and good night.